The Boston Landmarks Orchestra is taking its summer connection with the city to a new level. For the past 10 years, the orchestra's free performances have been a two-way street between concert repertoire and neighborhood culture. And this summer, the collaboration will go a step further. We'd like to welcome the orchestra's music director and conductor, Chris Wilkins. Thank you very much for being with us, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
It seems logical that you have these partnerships with community-based organizations in performing, but you're actually going to be a partner in creating new music with Zoomix in East Boston?
Yeah, Zoomix is maybe the best example, but we found that in order to create these partnerships where kids or people of various ages are able to participate with us, preferably perform with us on stage, in every case we have to write new music. They're not going to come in and perform Beethoven with us. So the Zoomix project is especially interesting because the kids have written the music themselves. Rather than presenting them with a new work and saying, here's your assignment, learn this, they, as singer-songwriters, are writing songs. Then there are four of them, what they call their superstars at Zoomix there in East Boston, thought about how do we develop those ideas, how do we combine them? And so we picked the topics of the four elements, earth, air, wind, and fire. So then you think about how do fire and water interact? How does water and earth interact? And they started to develop those ideas musically. Then Gonzalo Grau, our genius composer that we've worked with for 4 years now, has, I think with a relatively light touch, figured out how to get the orchestra to interact with that. So the Zoomix kids are creating it. They're going to perform it on stage with us. They're writing music for a chorus of their classmates at Zoomix to perform with us as well. So it's a kind of different way of approaching collaboration where we're taking the inspiration from the kids themselves and somehow working this fantastic professional orchestra into the mix.
Well, for the most part, we're talking about Wednesday nights free on the Esplanade, starting when exactly?
Starting this Wednesday, starting July 13th, and they go through Labor Day. We have a guest orchestra, Longwood Symphony, one of the weeks, and one of the weeks we're showing a film on the town. Other than that, it's Landmarks Orchestra every Wednesday night at 7.
Now, a lot of these programs have themes, and I guess the first one is going to be what?
First one is our Green concert. Every year, for years, Charles Ansbacher, my predecessor, came up with this idea of doing an environmental or nature-themed program. This one is based on the idea of birds and bird song, and we have the assistance of Wayne Peterson, who's a lead field ornithologist for Mass Audubon, who's been consulting with us and making some recommendations. He will address the crowd. In one of the pieces, people will actually play bird song from their cell phones as part of the musical performance and also see images of birds and some very interesting information about the vulnerability of bird populations relative to habitat in Massachusetts.
You're going to have another program, Pictures at an Exhibition,
Yeah.
which of course involved a well-known Russian piece, but some interesting local connections to Elizabeth Stewart Gardner.
Yes, well,
Isabel Stewart Gardner.
Isabella, and the whole second half of the program is Gardner Museum. So Peggy Fogelman, who's the new director of the Gardner, will join me as co-host, and we will, for the whole second half, play music related to their collection and show a great number of images from their collection, concluding in El Jaleo, the great John Singer Sargent oil painting on flamenco dance. But people will learn a lot about Isabella Stewart Gardner, her life, things that she loved, and the collection there. And in addition to Pictures at an Exhibition on the first half, we're also doing a very interesting new work by American composer Stella Sung that we created in collaboration with the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. And we'll show 5 paintings of Rockwell that she has animated musically.
Of course, even more visual, you have an upcoming dance concert, so it's not just going to be dance music, but you're going to see some dancing here.
A lot of dancing, yeah. We have Sayat Nova, who are outstanding, internationally renowned Armenian troupe, will perform to some Armenian folk and popular music. We'll have Bahukol, which is the Colombian youth folkloric dance. They've been with us for 4 years running, performing some Venezuelan and Colombian music by Gonzalo Grau, who's our composer in residence this year. And Yoel Cassell, who's been the choreographer for Commonwealth Shakespeare, has created 2 pieces for us. One of them is based on urban movement, breakdancing, hip-hop, that kind of thing, to a new work that uses musically the same language. Fascinating piece. I'm really looking forward to that. He's using kids to dance that one. And then a group of actors who want to dance with him, professional actors for the most part, are interpreting Leonard Bernstein's Fancy Free.
And of course, the Bernstein piece. If people they know the West Side Story maybe, but this is pretty much right up there.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And Fancy Free and On the Town are essentially the same story. One a ballet, Fancy Free, the other a Broadway show. On the Town, and On the Town is the film that we'll be showing in that second week of August.
Of course, toward the end, I think you're going to have something that's going to be more grand, sort of ambitious. You get some opera in the mix too here?
Well, we do have opera in the mix. We feature Jane Eaglin, who's one of the great living dramatic sopranos of our time. She's at the faculty at the New England Conservatory, but we're forming our One City Choir and the Back Bay Chorale and Jane Eaglin and kids from North End Music and Performing Arts Center. That's all happening that evening of Wagner and Verdi. But to finish, we're, again, as we have in years past, working with Commonwealth Shakespeare in a very interesting production of The Boys from Syracuse of Rodgers and Hart.
Okay. This is BNN News. We're talking with Chris Wilkins of the Boston Landmarks Orchestra. Chris, how does it feel being at one of these concerts? Because this is not the same as a sort of buttoned-down concert hall setting.
Not at all. Yeah. I think it's informal, to say the least, and that's a wonderful thing about it. I think we can do some things because it's outdoors in summertime that a lot of orchestras probably wouldn't try. We, for example, have active live tweeting that goes on during many of these concerts. We'll be pushing images of the birds and even sounds of the birds during the performance. So people can use their phones, are welcome to use their phones. We have things like the Maestro Zone, which is a podium that we set up off to stage right, to the left of the audience, where kids or people of any age can come up. There's a music stand, there's a baton. Our assistant conductor, Christo Kandaki, is there. We'll give them a conducting lesson as they're looking at the music that I'm looking at, and try their hand at conducting as it goes. And we see kids moving around and dancing to the music all the time, and that's to be encouraged.
Yeah, they're focused, they're tuned in. So finally, if people want the details and the schedule, where should they check that out?
Best place to go is landmarksorchestra.org. You can just search for Boston Landmarks Orchestra. We also have an app, and it's a wonderful app. It gives you everything you need to know about the program notes, security issues, the time of the concerts. They're all Wednesday nights at 7, but then there's a rain plan. In some cases, there's a rain date at the Hat Shell on Thursday. In other cases, we have a rain venue on Wednesday.
Right. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Chris.
Chris Wilkins in the Boston Landmarks Orchestra.